Have you ever just stopped and realized you're locked into a plan you made like years ago? A career path, a life goal, something you were so sure about back then, but now you're not so sure. Well, today we're going to dive into a huge idea from Adam Grant's book, Think Again, how our best laid plans can actually become a trap, and more importantly, how we can learn to break free.
It all kicks off with this question, doesn't it? You know the one. From the time we're little kids, we're asked to pick a single tidy answer. Doctor, astronaut, firefighter. It basically forces us to choose an identity, a final destination, way before we've even had a chance to look at the map. And you know, Michelle Obama just hits the nail on the head here. This idea that we become something and then that's it, game over. It's just not true. It totally misses the point that we are constantly evolving, we're always changing and growing. Life isn't about one destination, it's a journey with a whole lot of different paths. To really see how this plays out in the real world, let's get into a story. It's a perfect example of how dangerous a fixed plan can be and how a dream you have as a kid can actually turn into a kind of prison.
So meet Ryan. For him, that big question had a crystal clear answer right from kindergarten. He was going to be a doctor. And look, it wasn't just his dream, it was his family's dream for him too. A noble goal for sure, a super clear path, and yeah, a massive amount of pressure to see it all the way through.
I mean, just look at this path. It's a straight line, 16 years, laser focused on one track. And every time a new interest popped up, like economics in college or the chance for a joint MD MBA, the answer was always the same. Nope, gotta stay on track. He pushed through burnout, insane hours, and all those nagging personal doubts, all to get to a finish line he'd set for himself when he was 5 years old. And the punchline? He did it. He's a successful neurosurgeon who wishes he'd picked something else entirely.
So why does this happen? What are these invisible forces that keep really smart, capable people like Ryan glued to a path that just doesn't feel right anymore? Let's break down the psychology of it.
Okay, so first up is the main problem itself, tunnel vision. It's like this. Your plan is so detailed, your mental GPS is locked on to such a specific target that you become completely blind to everything else. You don't see the scenic routes, the interesting detours, or even the giant sign telling you that you're heading in the wrong direction.
And then there's this really powerful bias, something called escalation of commitment. Oh, you know this feeling. It's that voice in your head that says, well, I've already put in so much time, so much money, I can't quit now. So we just double down, not because the plan is working, but just to prove to ourselves that all our past effort wasn't a waste. And really, at the very root of all this is something called identity foreclosure. It's basically like deciding at age 18 who you're going to be for the rest of your life, and then just slamming the door shut on every other possibility. You settle on an identity before you've even had a chance to explore who you are or who you could be. And that's exactly what Ryan did. He foreclosed on his doctor identity when he was just a little kid.
Now here's the tricky part. We're always told that grit is the secret to success. And sometimes it is. Pushing through tough challenges for a goal that really matters, that's heroic. But grit has a dark side. It can turn into foolish stubbornness, keeping you on a sinking ship just because you're too determined to quit. You know, sometimes the bravest, most gritty thing you can do is have the courage to turn back.
Okay, so we get the problem. We see how we get stuck. The big question is, what do we do about it? How do we actually break free? Well, the solution is surprisingly simple, and it starts by scheduling a regular checkup for your career, just like you would for your own health.
The really practical takeaway here is to just put a reminder in your calendar, maybe twice a year, and just ask yourself these 3 simple questions. First, when did I even come up with this goal I'm chasing? Second, how am I different now? And third, am I still learning and growing? Just doing this can jolt you out of autopilot and save you from years of going down the wrong road.
And this leads to a really cool shift in mindset from management professor Herminia Ibarra. She says, stop searching for the one single perfect career plan. It's a myth. It doesn't exist. Instead, you need to start thinking like a scientist who's running a bunch of experiments.
The whole key is to test things out in small, low-stakes ways. So first, just look at people you admire and get really curious about what their actual day-to-day work is like. Then create a hypothesis, like, I think I might enjoy being a UX designer. And finally, run a small experiment. Don't quit your job, just, talk to a UX designer for 30 minutes, or take a cheap online course. The goal isn't to commit, It's just to collect data on your possible future selves.
But what if a huge career change just isn't in the cards for you right now? Maybe it's not realistic, or maybe you don't even want that. Well, the good news is, rethinking isn't just about changing your job title. You can actually change your job from the inside out.
It's this awesome idea called job crafting, and it's all about becoming the architect of your own role. You don't just do the tasks you're given, you actively reshape your job to bring more of who you really are, your passions, your unique skills, your values, into the work you do every single day.
And one of the most powerful examples of this comes from a study of hospital custodians. I mean, on paper, their job description was just to clean, but for some of them, they decided their job was actually much, much bigger than that.
So you have someone like Candace Walker. She didn't just see her job as keeping the chemo center sterile. She saw her role as caring for people's fragile emotions. She'd console families. She'd make patients laugh. Then there was another cleaner who would rearrange the paintings on the walls in the coma ward, just hoping that a small change might spark something in a patient. Nobody told them to do this. They were crafting their jobs to have more meaning.
And when she was asked why, her answer was so simple and so powerful. She said, "No, it's not part of my job, but it's part of me." That just says it all, doesn't it? She wasn't just doing a job, she was expressing who she was. And that is the absolute core of job crafting.
All right, so let's tie this all together. If having a rigid 5 or 10-year plan is a bad idea, then how are we supposed to navigate our lives? How do we move forward in a world that is always changing?
Well, first, just remember it's never too late. Let's go back to Ryan. After all those years, he finally did his own career checkup. He ended up co-founding a health startup, and he finally got to scratch that entrepreneurial itch he'd been ignoring for decades. He didn't throw his past away, he built on it to create a future that actually fit him.
And this is the thought I really want to leave you with, from EL Dr. O. It's this idea that planning your life is like driving in the fog at night. You can only see as far as your headlights beam out in front of you. But here's the thing, you can make the whole trip that way. So stop trying to map out the entire journey. Just focus on the stretch of road you can see, make the best decision for that piece of the journey, and trust that the next part of the road will appear when you get there.